Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Money Matters Top Tips for Success, where each and every day I bring on new business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives and have them share their top tips for success with you. My name is Atta Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, moneymatterstoptips.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Atta Tarki on the line, and he's CEO and Managing Director over at ECA, and he's also author of the book, which just came out this year, EvidenceBased Recruiting, How to Build a Company of Star Performers Through Systematic and Repeatable Hiring Practices. Atta, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Adam.
Oh, man. So first off, congrats on the new book. Really excited. A 2020 release. You know, I love talking about books and helping people promote them. So, Atta, I want to get a little bit further into your background. So let's just start off with this. So how did you get started in your career and in business?
I grew up in the countryside of Sweden, and growing up there, I didn't really have exposure to a lot of different business types. And when I went to college, I felt like a lot of the consulting firms that were coming on campus and recruiting had a compelling story to tell about their ability to give you exposure to a lot of different industries and also teaching you how to manage a business through the strategic toolkit. And that's why I started my career at a consulting firm called LEK Consulting, where I spent 6 years. But having worked at LEK for 6 years and worked with a lot of the different companies that we advised at LEK, I noticed that there are a lot of companies that had a phenomenal business strategy on paper that were not performing very well. And then there were companies who had very basic business strategies that were performing really well, which made me think, what is the thing that really differentiates these companies? And of course, it came down to the quality of their people and their management teams. And that's why I started a company in the talent space 10 years ago.
Man, that's awesome. And I think that's a great transition. So tell us a little bit more about what you're doing over at ECA, please.
ECA is a specialized executive search firm, and we help private equity funds and their portfolio companies find talent. And so
is there any particular niches or type of funds you like working with versus other, or do you cover the spectrum?
We do cover the spectrum. We work with very large funds, and we also work with middle market and lower middle market private equity funds. I'd say the larger the funds are, the more typical it is for us to work with them on placing interim management into their companies. And the smaller they are, the more common it is for us to work with them on placing CEOs, CFOs, and other C-suite executives with them.
So let's switch it up a bit. I got to get into this book. So Evidence-Based Recruiting, How to Build a Company of Star Performers Through Systematic and Repeatable Hiring Practices. So first off, what was the inspiration for this book?
Yeah, so as I was telling you, I kind of slipped into the talent industry. I didn't grow up working in the talent industry, and I started my own company about 10 years ago. And being new to this field, we didn't follow a lot of the old practices that are followed in executive search. We kind of like did what we thought just made sense. And having done this for a few years, a lot of our clients would invite me to come to their conferences and speak because they felt like we took a very different approach to executive search. And they're like, come here and tell us why you guys do things differently. And having done a number of those presentations, I felt like it was really fun. And I felt like I was getting really good response from folks in the audience. And I thought it would be fun for me and helpful for others to explain our methodology, which is a more evidence-based recruiting method.
Man, that's awesome. And in kind of reviewing the book and looking at the table of contents and what you're doing, just the way the book is laid out, we're not going to have time to go into all these, of course, but I do want to touch on one or two. So let's just start with the first chapter. So why bother? So tell us a little bit more about that one.
So are you sure you don't want me to read you all the 240 pages of the book right now?
I would love for you to put that video on YouTube so I can listen to it later. Absolutely. Heck yeah, I'm in. Do it. It's going to mess up your sales, but go ahead.
No, but coming back to your question, why does this matter? Recruiting and finding the star performers to begin with matters a lot. If you look at the performance in a company, there are all these kind of like old sayings of, 20% of the top performers produce 80% of the results in a firm, etc. And a lot of people say those things, but in reality, they don't really act that way. They go back to kind of like spending a lot of their time on putting out day-to-day fires and then spending a pretty small portion of their time finding star talent. But when looking at performance in a company or performance by individuals, and I analyzed the data, for example, of 24,000 ATP tennis players. And out of these 24,000 players, the top 10% of the players collected 98% of the lifetime prize money in tennis. And you could kind of like make the argument that this is kind of like very unique to sports or tennis, and this is not going to apply to a lot of other fields. But the researcher O'Boyle looked at over 600,000 professionals and 198 different professions and samples and found a similar relationship in these other professions. So long story short, it matters a lot because top performers produce an extraordinary amount of the results in any given business.
Man, that makes so much sense when you say it that way. Everybody believes that the 80-20, all these other things, but do we actually implement those practices when hiring? I never thought about that, and I have to say, usually not, right? Other than maybe the CEO, right? That you spend a lot of time, or maybe the C-suite. But as you go further down the line, the bigger the organization, obviously all the middle management, all these other things matter, and you want to do the best. But is the process really treated that way? And I have to ask, like, is it? I'm going to probably say no, it's not. It's a huge point. Let's do another one. So why now? The new era of talent acquisition. Tell us a little bit more about that chapter.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess the natural question is like, why should I kind of like try to apply evidence-based recruiting methods now? Why hasn't it been done before? And I would argue that a lot of the tools and techniques that have developed in and have become available to recruiters have just developed over the last 10 to 20 years. When I started my business 10 years ago, LinkedIn had only 90 million users. Now they have over 500 million users. Wow. And in my first job in consulting, I would do market research and I would spend my entire day trying to call companies and find even the relevant person to speak with because I couldn't find that information anywhere. This information wasn't posted online. I didn't know what their name was. I didn't know what their title was. So I had to call people and ask them, like, who do you have who deals with this specific issue? Now I could put together that information going on LinkedIn within 2 minutes and then spend the rest of my day doing something more productive. So just even when it comes to finding the right people, LinkedIn has completely transformed and democratized that piece. But there are also a ton of other available tools that makes it easier for us to track applicant information and then also evaluate on the job success of these folks. And that has transformed the role of the recruiter in my mind from being someone who just focuses on building up a Rolodex to someone who can be the expert that interprets all that data and advises their business leaders on how to do evidence-based recruiting.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I love it, Atta. I love what you're doing. I love the thought process behind it. And it's funny because every time we talk about recruiting or something else, I'm like, man, we are doing some good advertising for LinkedIn. When are they going to send us a check? No, just no, it's awesome. But it's true. I love it. I'm a huge fan of LinkedIn. You don't have to send me a check. I'll keep paying to use your sales navigator, and I love you. So just keep on doing what you do and bringing more users onto the platform because I think we all benefit from it. So, Atta, if somebody is listening to this and they want more information over at on either ECA or on your book, what's the best way for them to reach out, or what are the best places for them to find everything?
Go to our website, ECA-partners, repeatable.com, and either you could click on my name and you'll get my contact information, or you could click on additional resources and click on my book link, and it will take you to the Amazon page where you can buy the book.
Oh, man, that's awesome. Well, hey, Atta, it's been a real pleasure speaking with you today. And again, congrats on the new book. So Evidence-Based Recruiting. Everybody go out and get that. I put in, you put in Atta's name in Amazon, too, if you just want to go directly there, ATTA space TARKI, or it'll be in the show notes, of course, and it comes right up. So definitely go grab that book. And Atta, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Adam. Real pleasure.